Greetings and salutations. Welcome to episode 2 of the Xtreme Dynasty podcast. I'm your host, Todd Tubbs. We're here today to go over an integrated IDP Dynasty mock draft. This is a 1 quarterback, 1 point PPR, full IDP rosters Dynasty league. Now, if you're someone who's finding this podcast not in our league, I hope you take something useful away from this podcast. I'm going to be bringing in 2 of our owners today. We have Taylor Tubbs and Cadyn Tubbs. And first I'm going to say, how's it going today, Taylor?
I'm doing well.
Awesome.
Happy to be here.
It's good to have you here. Let's talk about your team real quick. So, your team has 5 division titles. You have 2 first place finishes, 3 second place finishes, and a third place finish. That's pretty impressive.
Sounds pretty good to me. I'm a natural born winner. Take great pride in my team.
And we also have Cadyn Tubbs here, aka Cactus Jack. And Cadyn has
Shout out Travis Scott.
No division titles yet, only a couple of years in the league. But he has a third place finish, a couple fourth place finishes, and just a few short years. How's it going, Cadyn?
I'm doing good. I'm just glad to be here as well.
Awesome. You're going to have to speak up a little bit, man. Don't be afraid of the camera. All right. Now we're just getting back here. We went and had some dinner at B-Dubs, and you guys had a little bit of a life-changing experience.
We did.
Tell me about that.
The waitress, she admitted to being a pothead, which is great. I support that. We ordered some cheese curds, and she brought it to our table, and she's like, "You have to try it with the caramel sauce." And at first, I was very skeptical. I tried it, and it just excited the taste buds straight when I put it in my mouth. So
at first, Taylor and I looked at each other and were like, "What is this lady talking about?" We thought it was the dumbest thing in the world until we actually tried it. It didn't hurt to try just one, and it was life changing.
So you heard it. The next time you guys all go to Buffalo Wild Wings, get some cheese curds, get the caramel sauce. I tried a couple of them. It was really amazing. So you should do that. We've got the Sixers
and the Hawks
on the TV over here behind us. We're actually all in the same room for a change, because typically when I do this, I'm doing this remotely with the other owners. So we've got all 3 of us here. I've got cameras set up on everybody. So we're just going to jump right into the podcast. Before we do, though, what is your guys', each of you separately, we'll start with Cadyn and then we'll get Taylor's. What's your favorite thing about Xtreme, Cadyn?
I really don't know. Just fantasy football brings a lot of excitement, a lot of joy every week for me. I just look forward to playing anyone, really. I don't know. I'm really proud of my team. I think my team's pretty good. Maybe one day good enough to win a championship. I don't know.
Awesome.
That's about it.
How about you, Taylor? What's your favorite thing about Xtreme?
I've been in Xtreme since the start, so I got to draft my team or redraft my team in the Dynasty format. Xtreme was my first Dynasty, so diving into a Dynasty was new to me, but it was very exciting and something that I really enjoyed. The IDP feature of Dynasty has probably been my favorite. I drafted the team, and I've made trades and hit the free agency wire pretty hard. And like Todd mentioned earlier, I've done pretty well in Xtreme history. I got a couple championships, some second place finishes, so I'm near the top every year. That feels pretty good. It feels good to win. It feels good to be dominant. If you guys ever have a chance to check out my team, I find great pride in what I have. So it's been fun.
Awesome. Well, hey, we're gonna get into this mock draft, and I'm just gonna say right off the top, I've mentioned this before in episode 1, but I, being the Crows, have the first 5 picks in this draft. if you're an owner and you own the first 5 picks in a Dynasty rookie draft, you're an asshole. And I guess I'm an asshole. So we're going to get into this, and we're going to start with the 1.01.
Hold on. Even before you get into this,
Yes.
Cadyn and I don't have any picks in these first 2 rounds that we're mock drafting.
Right, yes.
I actually do. I have
has
one.
one.
Oh, sorry.
I
He's
have
got 1 second round pick, but I haven't. If you're a contender, trade your picks for players, because that is how I've built such a great team. Is I rarely draft in rookie drafts.
This is my only pick in the first 5 rounds, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And I don't have one till the 4th round this year.
right.
And that's a good point. If you're someone who's listening to this podcast and you're new to Dynasty, you really have to be honest with yourself about where your team is, because if your team is a contender, you should not be picking in rookie drafts. You should be trading those picks away for proven players. And if your team is not a contender and you're honest about that, and your team is in a rebuild mode, then you should be trying to acquire as many picks as possible. And since I'm in a full-blown rebuild right now, I've got like 30 picks in 15 rounds, and like 17 of them in the first like 39, right? So
It's incredible.
Yes.
It's really hard to do that.
and you know what? It's probably never going to be done again. I mean, it's really a testament to how active of a trader I am.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it's not easy to do, to like get that many picks. I'm not sure we're ever going to see it again, but you have to be active with trading.
I mean, if you guys look at his roster right now, it's pretty ass because he
it's
took the
bad.
whole thing apart.
I completely melted it to the ground and just started over. So, but hey, let's jump into the 1.01. I'm going to have Taylor give his 1.01, then Cadyn give his 1.01. I might make a comment on it, and then we'll kind of do that for every single pick as we go. All right. So the Crows on the clock at 1.01, and who do you have in store for me, Taylor?
I have the Crows taking Najee Harris, running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just think he's the best value at the 1-1 here in a rookie draft for a team that needs running back. So
I agree.
So you've also got me taking Najee?
I do. Yeah, number 1, just like Taylor said, he's probably just the best value for the first overall pick. He's a well-rounded running back, and I think he landed in a really great situation. So I have him being taken at the 1-1.
Awesome. Well, since we are in agreement on that, let's go ahead and move on to the 1.02. And who do you have for the 1.02 for me?
I actually have him taking back-to-back running backs here. For just him not having very many players and needing to get younger, I have him taking Travis Etienne here. He's also a Jaguars fan, so I just thought Etienne made a lot of sense here at the 1-2.
Once again, I agree. I have also taken Travis Etienne with the 1-2 for the Crows pick here.
I think a lot of our top 5 picks are going to be the same just because
Oh, yeah.
we have him taking like our consensus 5 best college football players in the draft.
He really
here.
has nobody on his team.
Yeah,
his team's built around Jonathan Taylor at this point, and Jonathan Taylor alone.
Which is a
so-
great player to build around.
Great player.
Yeah,
build
if you're going
around.
to build around somebody, build around JT.
But great teams need
Right.
depth too, so you need the running backs.
Well, and we start 2 running backs.
Of course.
And we have
Bye weeks,
Bye
injuries
weeks,
happen.
bye weeks, injuries. So
Everything happens.
yeah,
COVID still.
It makes sense. And I just checked the Dynasty League Football ADP. They're still using May ADP. They don't have June's ADP yet. I don't know what's going on there. They've already rolled over to June ADP for the startup ADP, but for the rookie drafts, they're still using May. So they got Najee Harris at the 1.01 and Travis Etienne at the 1.04. So, but it makes sense to go running back.
Yeah.
So who do you guys have for me at the 1.03?
He's got his 2 running backs. He needs the biggest wide receiver in the draft. At 1.03, he takes Jamar Chase. The connection with him and Joe Burrow is going to be electric, so I think you're going to get great value there at the 1-3 with Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I think that goes without being said. Just the biggest name, biggest receiver we've heard coming out in a while. He's got his 2 running backs already. You just need to take a receiver to go with that. So I'm taking Jamar Chase as well.
Awesome. Let's see. Jamar Chase, I believe, is currently the 1.02 in Dynasty rookie drafts. So getting him at the 1.03 makes sense. I mean, these are pretty much the top 3 guys. No matter what order you have them in, that's kind of the way.
And it doesn't matter. You got the first 5 picks, so whatever order you take them in is totally up to you.
Absolutely. 1.04.
1.04, it's a little different from previous years. Generally, we don't see tight ends go this high. But at the 1.04, I have Todd taking Kyle Pitts from Atlanta. He's the best tight end prospect we've probably seen in, I don't know, however many
Since
years.
Vernon Davis.
It's ridiculous how good Kyle Pitts is on paper. With Julio Jones leaving Atlanta, I just think there's a lot of targets and a lot of yardage there to be had for Kyle Pitts at the 1.4.
Yeah, and we actually lied. Cadyn does have a top 6 pick in Xtreme. Because he.
I forgot.
We talked about that.
I'm so
we
sorry.
talked
I
about
forgot
that
you.
before.
I forgot he
I
made a
forgot
trade up for that.
Before we hopped into it, we discussed I have a pick.
But anyway,
I thought
who
you
you
had a
have at the
second-round
1.04 for me.
1.04 actually, it took a different route.
Okay.
I had him staying with wide receiver, and I'm taking Rashad Bateman over Devontae Smith, which is a little bold. Rashad Bateman's more of like his ADP is towards like the end of the first round usually.
Yeah, he's going at the 1.08 right now, so the 4 would be a little high, especially with that landing spot in Baltimore that was just ass.
It's tough.
Yeah, it was definitely an issue. Being he probably ended up in the worst situation possible. But really, they have nobody else there. I mean, Sammy Watkins, Marquise Brown, but Rashad Bateman's a different type of receiver from the both of them. And I do think Lamar will be a lot better this year. His passing numbers will be a little bit more up from last year. I'm hoping at least. So I have Rashad Bateman going at 1.4.
But let's not forget that just 2 years ago, Lamar Jackson led the league in passing touchdowns.
He did.
So it's
35?
not out of the realm of possibility, right? So here's a note on Kyle Pitts that I haven't mentioned before. A lot of people have probably heard this, but he has the largest wingspan of any wide receiver or tight end in the NFL in the last 20 years with the 83-inch wingspan.
I mean, they're calling him a unicorn. We have never seen somebody with his size and
His speed.
Yeah,
His
he
athleticism.
was built in a
His
factory.
athleticism
Really,
is just
he's not
unmatched.
human.
That's just crazy. And a quick note on Rashad Bateman. He has 1,738 career snaps in college with 0 penalties.
Yeah, he plays by the rules. He's a fair receiver.
So
I mean, and in a pretty physical conference too, in the Big Ten, that's hard to come by, and it's a lot of running the ball, and he should fit right into that Raven offense then.
So let's roll into my final pick here in the first round with the 1.05. And who do you have, Taylor?
I actually have Todd taking. I went back to running back, and I have Todd taking Javonte Williams with this pick here. I don't think it's too long before, he's the premier back in Denver. I think he's got all the tools to be the guy.
He is May ADP of 1.05, so he's right there at the 5th spot.
And I just think, having all these running backs, I mean, you're hoping they all hit, but I mean, if 1 or 2 of them hit, I mean, that's still a pretty successful draft for you.
Yeah. Well, who do you have at the 1.05, Cadyn?
I went the same route again. I took Javonte Williams. I took Devontae Williams, I guess. It was also a little bit more of a biased pick for him. I know he kind of likes Javonte Williams a lot. It made sense. He just needs a decent 4th running back. Just injuries happen, bye weeks happen. Not all these rookies will start right away, so...
Yeah. I also sold the farm on my wide receivers, though. We do start 4 wide receivers. and I might have one. I think I kept Curtis Samuel.
You
You
don't
have
Boyd?
so many picks
you-
in the second round though, and it's so
Yeah.
deep at wide receiver.
Did you trade Boyd?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
traded.
I wasn't
Boyd.
sure.
Yeah.
Traded.
Yeah, the only guy he's got left is Curtis Samuel, and some younger guys that could still pan out
Traded
here.
Michael Thomas to you. I traded Tyler Boyd to Iowa Patriots. Traded.
Christian
Pick-
Kirk,
Yeah,
and the
Chris,
same deal.
yeah. I traded Babytron, Galladay
Yep.
to the new owner JLM. So I pretty much cleaned out my entire wide receiver.
I mean, that was to get the 1-1 though,
So-
so you kind of had to trade Galladay
Yeah.
for that.
Right. Okay, so we do have Cadyn's pick here at the 1.06.
I totally forgot you had a pick here.
And who do you have for Cadyn at the 1.06?
Just looking at team needs for Cadyn, he definitely needs a running back. I think he's got a pretty solid team. He's actually really good at wide receiver, probably one of the best receiving cores here in the league.
Yeah.
And Xtreme. At running back, he really only has Zeke. He does have J.K. Dobbins.
Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt, yes, sir. I have him taking a running back, and I have him taking Trey Sermon.
Okay.
I think in Kyle Shanahan's offense, he's going to see a lot of playing time in year one, and I just think it'll eventually be a really good pick for him.
That's for me. That's a little rich. He does have a May ADP of the 2.02, which is the 14th pick off the board. I'm not sure that outside of the big three, that there's any running backs in this draft class that should even go anywhere in the back half of the first round. I mean, Trey Sermon and Michael Carter are really the only ones that maybe could creep into the first round. I see them both as second round picks.
If I may,
in
the
this
only
rookie
reason I
class.
have him taking Trey Sermon is because I am a Raheem Mostert owner. He's very inconsistent. He gets hurt a lot. His name's on the tip of my tongue. He just got hurt.
Jeff Wilson.
Yep, Jeff Wilson's gonna be out he's gonna miss some time. Everybody knows what they have in Wayne Gallman, and I just think Kyle Shanahan's the kind of guy that he's gonna give Sermon a lot of looks early on.
And Cadyn does like his Ohio State running backs. He's got J.K.
Dobbins and Zeke.
and Zeke and
I just thought the pick made sense there.
right.
Well, it's not a bad pick. I mean, I wouldn't take Sermon if given the option in the second round. I don't like the guy at all, actually.
That's
you
fair.
know. I don't feel the same about him as J.K. Dobbins, as Zeke. I don't like the guy.
So
I
who
wouldn't
did you
take him in
put
the first
Who
round.
did you put for yourself at the 1.06?
I actually have myself taking Kyle Pitts. I don't think the Crows take him here. My tight end, it was my worst position overall by far last year. With Tyler Higbee, he really started popping off last year, and it was looking like I'd have a top 5, maybe top 10 tight end coming into the season, and he really, really underperformed. It was really disappointing, and I had nobody else really to start. Midway through the season, I did trade for Everett just in case, if Higbee was just going to get benched due to his performance. Everett didn't really do much either, and that was disappointing. So I do have myself taking Kyle Pitts. There really is it's hard to trade for a decent tight end in Dynasty football. I mean, there's after Kittle, after Kelsey, after Waller, there's really just a huge drop-off in talent and performance. So I really just have myself taking Kyle Pitts here.
It feels a team need to make your team even better. I understand that for sure.
All right, so we have the 1.07, which is Matt Ron's daddy issues. And who do you have for Matt at the 1.07?
I'm really big on taking defense early. If you guys have a chance to check out Matt's team, his offense is actually
Really
one of the best in the league. If he set better lineups, he'd be winning almost every year.
Right.
He does need some linebacker help. His top linebackers are getting older. I have him taking the best linebacker available here with Micah Parsons at the 1.7. I mean, it's not insanely high for a linebacker. We've seen some go much earlier. I just think it's the biggest team need for him right now.
Okay. And what do you have for Matt at the 1.07?
Once again, I went a different route here for daddy issues. I haven't taken Devontae Smith. I just think Matt, if you were to look and see the Heisman winner, the first receiver to win the Heisman since Desmond Howard in the 90s, I really just think if he sees the Heisman winner still available at 1.7, he's just going to leap on that immediately. It'll be a no-brainer for him, so I haven't taken Devontae Smith.
And, we have seen his May ADP at 1.06, and, here's just some things to keep in mind for Devontae Smith. Number 1 success rate versus press coverage in this draft class per reception perception. Number 2 in career 20-plus yard catches among draft eligible wide receivers with 32. Number 1 in receiving yards after the catch in 2020 with 953. Number 1 in yards per route run with 0 screens in 2020 with 4.52. Most receiving yards since 2019 with 2,752, with 1,560 of those coming after the catch. That's 57% of his yard total after the catch. Highest graded season by an SEC wide receiver in playoff era by PFF with a 94.9. And second highest yards per route run versus man coverage in 2020 with 6.77. So, I mean, I think those numbers
he's unreal.
They speak for themselves.
It's crazy if a player like Devontae Smith falls to the 1.07 to daddy issues. I don't know how he passes up the current Heisman Trophy winner.
It was hard to give him a linebacker. I mean, if you guys know Matt, you know his tendencies. It's offense every year, at least early on.
And it's always he builds through running backs.
He builds through running
backs. But there's no running backs, at least in this model right now, because you guys have 4 of them already in the top 6.
He's been going running back, wide receiver heavy in the first round for the last couple of years, and he's drafted some really good guys at his first round picks. He's a good drafter for sure.
Right. So
I think he can't go wrong with either. I just went with complete team need over tendency.
Right. Mm-hmm. And who does he have at linebacker in this right now?
Let me pull it up real fast. Was not prepared for you to ask me that. He's got Quan Alexander, and he's coming off an injury. He's got Deion Jones. He's pretty solid. Alex Singleton is another guy who is pretty solid. He got him out of free agency, so what a great free agency find. Then he's got Avery Williamson, and those are his top 4 scoring linebackers.
Yeah, so it probably wouldn't hurt for him to add another linebacker right now.
Yeah, with Williamson being...
He drafted Devin White at the 1.03 in Mega in 2019, so there is precedence for him taking linebackers in the first round.
Devin White's a better prospect than what we have in this draft.
Well, yeah, I mean, Micah Parsons, though, is nothing to sneeze at, though. So
And let's just add 2 out of the 4 guys I mentioned are still free agents. They're not even on a team right now.
Yeah, Williamson's not reliable.
Right.
Williamson's not on a team, and Quan Alexander is not on a team.
I mean, Williamson had a great season last year leading up until the moment he got traded. The moment he got traded, it was basically done for him. He didn't play for the first couple of weeks, and then once he started, he just wasn't putting up points like he was in the first half. So
he does have Bernardic McKinney coming off an injury, so that could be a little bit of a bounce back player for him.
He's on a new team this year in Miami, so we just saw Jerome Baker get signed to a 2-year extension.
Bottom line, he needs help really bad at this position.
So linebacker or wide receiver, I wouldn't fault him for taking either of them here at the 1.07. Let's talk about Justin Sanderson's Das Raiderhawk at the 1.08.
At the 1.08, I have Justin taking Devontae Smith.
Okay.
Just 1 spot lower than what Cadyn had him at. He's in the, again, I just going off of team needs. He's really desperate for wide receivers right now. One of his best receivers is Will Fuller, and he's going to be serving a 4-game suspension to open up the year. And
Fair
then
enough.
other what's that?
Said fair enough.
Yeah, and other than that, he just he's got Deontay Johnson and Cooper Kupp, and that's basically it. He's got Deebo Samuel. I'll give him that, and then after that, he's got nothing.
What do you have on for Justin at the 1.08?
I went a similar route. I already had Devontae Smith being taken with the pick before, so I gave Raider Hawk the next best option with Jalen Waddle, and that really just comes down to team needs specifically. I didn't really have no other reason for giving him Waddle except for he's the best receiver available, and Justin desperately needs help at receiver.
So here's a couple of things to keep in mind with Jalen Waddle. We already talked about Devontae Smith. You've probably heard me mention this before. Jalen Waddle is the number one highest graded slot wide receiver in this draft class over his career with a 92.9 per PFF. He has a perfect 158.3 passer rating when targeted from the slot since 2019. He was second in yards, receiving yards, as a freshman behind Jerry Jeudy, but ahead of Henry Ruggs and Devontae Smith as a sophomore with a 17% market share.
It's ridiculous the receivers they get through Alabama.
As a junior before his injury, he led team with a 35% market share. That was even when he was playing on the same field with Devontae Smith. The fifth highest graded season by an SEC wide receiver in the playoff era by PFF with an 89.5.
And I think it's great he's teaming up with Tua, because Tua, whether you believe in Tua or not, I mean, I don't think his arm is completely there. I think Tua likes the underneath routes, he likes the shorter routes, and him being the highest graded slot receiver, I just think that he fits perfectly in Miami's offense.
Yeah, he could definitely be a volume play there. I mean, if he's just getting peppered. If we're looking at somebody that's like 100 plus targets, right? You could throw out all that garbage about late breakout age, like, yada, yada, yada.
I mean, volume equals fantasy production.
Exactly. So if he's looking at 100 plus targets a season, then I think you can ignore the rest of it. Okay, let's move on to the newest owner, JLM, Jackson and Lee Spooner at the 1.09.
For the 1.09, the new owners, co-owners, they definitely need some linebacker help. Because I already had Micah Parsons going, I gave them the second best linebacker in my opinion, and that's Jamin Davis.
Okay.
I just think he's going to have a lot of tackle opportunities there in the Washington football team defensive scheme. And I just think if it's team need, and I think it's a perfect fit for him.
I have not had Parsons go off the board yet, so I did give Jalen Michael Parsons here. In my opinion, the best linebacker in the draft by far. A lot of other people feel the same way. So I just gave him Michael Parsons. That's really about it.
I still buy into Micah Parsons being the linebacker one in this draft class.
Having two linebackers from the same team is okay, but let's keep in mind they do have Van Der Esch. Whatever happens with Leighton Van Der Esch is totally on the table, but yeah, you don't draft for bye weeks, but I just figured, they have Van Der Esch, so maybe they don't want
and
to.
They don't have to play Parsons inside. Remember, he's basically Isaiah Simmons of this draft class. He can be played really anywhere. He can be played outside, inside. He can be on the edge. He can, I wouldn't say safety, but he can really be played anywhere. Just
he's sideline to sideline. It doesn't even matter where
does
he's
not
at.
matter.
So he's going to have tackle volume opportunities. I'm not sure if maybe Van Der Esch is still there week one. Maybe Van Der Esch is in Pittsburgh or somewhere else come the beginning of the season. But, I don't think it matters that they already have another linebacker from Dallas. We already see that same team have two Dallas wide receivers.
Yep, they have CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper.
It's not ideal. It only sucks for bye weeks, but
you definitely draft talent.
If they're both producing, who cares?
Of course.
A couple of years ago, I remember having an IDP team with Quan Alexander and Levante David when they were both in Tampa Bay, and both of them were putting up,
The as before mentioned
points.
Matt Ron has both Levante David and Devin White in our other league.
Yes, so
it's been working for him, so it can definitely happen. I just already had Micah Parsons off the board.
Right. And did you give your 1.08?
Or
Or
yeah,
1.0
we're 9.
Yeah, 1.09 I mean.
Yeah,
Parsons.
Parsons.
That's
Okay,
what we're talking about.
Okay. So, let's do Iowa Patriots at the 1.10, the 110.
This is where I have the first quarterback of the draft coming off the board, and
Okay.
of course it's Trevor Lawrence.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go take a look at Iowa Patriots quarterbacks real fast.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not.
He's
it's not
got
pretty.
Andy
Sorry,
Dalton.
Justin, but
He's
it's
got
not good.
Andy Dalton. I think Justin Fields beats him out. Jimmy Garoppolo. Trey Lance could beat him out. He's got Matt Ryan left. Matt Ryan is not getting any younger. He did just lose Drew Brees to retirement, so I think Iowa Patriots does the right thing here and takes his quarterback of the future in Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, and I agree. That's why I was shocked. I thought I was kind of going out on a limb and saying that Patriots takes Trevor Lawrence here, but I guess I was not the only one thinking that way.
So the highest a quarterback has ever gone in the history of Xtreme, and we are in 9 seasons. Jameis Winston went at the 112 because the owner who drafted him was a big Florida State fan.
Mm-hmm.
So if we actually see Trevor Lawrence come off the board at 110, that would be the highest we've ever seen a quarterback drafted in this league. So, but you know what? If there was ever a quarterback to do it,
It's got to be Trevor.
It's got to be Trevor Lawrence. If he's the next Peyton Manning, if he's the next Andrew Luck, then we need to consider that he could go at the 110.
He's a special player and just, again, fits team needs. All my picks are just specifically targeted at team needs, so.
The only negative to Trevor Lawrence is the poor kid went to Jacksonville, and I say that as a Jaguars fan. All right.
Urban Meyer's going to wreck him.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I have a lot of
with
confidence in Urban Meyer,
that. I have
actually.
zero confidence
I know
in Urban Meyer.
you should really have more confidence. It's your team. I think Urban Meyer's going to do... I think he's doing a lot of great things already. I have no doubt within the next couple of years, will turn the Jaguars around. They will be a playoff team.
You can't trust an Ohio State guy.
With
to do
Trevor
anything.
Lawrence.
Okay.
Interesting take.
1-11. We're looking at Brandon Tubbs Sandusky victims. And what do you have for Brandon at the 111?
Brandon's really a wild card. He's very specific on his prospects. He's got great history with drafting, but he's just very specific. His wide receivers are getting a little older. I have him taking Jalen Waddle here at 111.
Okay.
I know Cadyn has him off the board much earlier. I just think it feels immediate team need for Sandusky victims.
And with the 111 pick, Sandusky victims here, I have Brandon taking Michael Carter.
Okay.
After Williams, after Etienne and Najee, there's just there's a bit of a drop off in running back talent. I already gave my take on Trey Sermon earlier. I believe he's not not that great. So I believe, in my opinion, the next best running back is Michael Carter. So I have him. I mean, the running back. I mean, he went to the Jets, right?
Yep.
The
Very
Jets-
good. Very good landing
The
spot
Jets
for
don't
him.
really have any running backs. They have Ty Johnson, I think his name
Yeah,
is.
Tevin Coleman's probably going to see.
Tevin.
Yeah, but he's up there. He's already 30,
yeah.
I think. So,
Michael Carter could not have landed in a better spot.
I mean, that's where we thought one of the big two was going to go. We thought, either Najee Harris or Etienne were going to end up. I mean, that's how every mock draft had it before the NFL draft, and we thought we were going to get great rookie production out of one of those two.
right. I personally would have loved to have seen Michael Carter with better draft capital, with day 1 or day 2 draft capital. If first, maybe not first round, but second round or third round draft capital. But he does go pretty high in the 4th round, so.
I just think it was a great value pick for the Jets. Honestly, they were able to get their guy later and then build better pieces around him too.
Yeah, and I do. I've said this time and time again. I kind of see him as a discount Javonte Williams, because if you want Javonte Williams, May ADP is at the 1.05, and if you can get Michael Carter a half round later, or even later than that, we saw their college production was almost identical, right? Like
being on the same team.
If you put their
ridiculous.
stats right next to each other, they're pretty much right there.
Yep.
So I think Michael Carter. I don't know if he's a first round pick in a dynasty rookie draft. I've already said I think there's only 3 running backs in this draft class that should be going in the first round, but Michael Carter in the second round. But if Brandon went with Michael Carter at the 111, I couldn't fault him for doing that.
Didn't Michael Carter and Javonte Williams have like a 500-yard combined game this past season, where they both just on the ground had over 200?
I think they had that
500 yards
ridiculous.
Carter had like
That's-
300 and some, and I think Javonte had a couple hundred, and they combined for like 5 touchdowns, I think.
Something crazy like that.
It was crazy. So we're gonna go to the 112, and that's Kicker Liker at the 112.
Yeah, the defending champion
Brian
here,
Dalton.
in his first season in our league, comes in and wins it all. Imagine that.
Hey Brian, I know you're listening there at work today. I just wanted to say fuck you. And who do we have for Brian Dalton at the 112?
I have him taking Michael Carter here at the
Okay.
112. His running backs definitely need some help here. It's his running back committee is basically headed by Dalvin Cook. It's not a bad running back to have, but he had Kenyon Drake. He lost a lot of value going to the Raiders. He's got Gus Edwards, but I think J.K. Dobbins is still the number 1 back there in Baltimore, and that's basically it. I think he's gotta find a running back early. I know there's not a lot of running backs worth taking here in the first round, but if he waits, he's not going to get one at all.
I would say after those 5, there's not another running back worth targeting, with the exception of Chuba Hubbard, only if you are a CMC owner. If you own McCaffrey, you need to be owning Chuba Hubbard. But if you don't own CMC, there's no reason to draft Chuba Hubbard unless you plan on flipping him to the CMC owner when CMC gets hurt again. Who do you have for Brian Dalton at the 112?
As much as I don't like the guy, and I already have Carter going off the pick before, I did give Kicker Liker Trey Sermon. I really just went off a team need there and gave Kicker Liker Trey Sermon. But I'm also just...
Did you guys look at his quarterback room? Are we just assuming he's getting a quarterback at the 212? Is that what we're doing?
Maybe we'll get there. Let me get there. Don't want to spoil anything yet.
I still have belief that Aaron Rodgers is going to play this season. I'm a Packers fan, for those of you listening. I do.
But outside of Rodgers, what does he have?
Jameis Winston, I still think he earns the job over Taysom Hill.
Okay.
You know, I mean, we've all had our conversations about Taysom Hill.
It's Taysom Hill.
And he's got Kyle Allen, who's got the door shut on him, but...
Hey, another shout out. I know you're listening down there in New Orleans right now, Taysom Hill. I just want to say fuck you also.
I had Kamara last year, and Taysom Hill fucking pissed me off. Even though Kamara, I can't stand Taysom Hill.
Yeah, same.
He was on the Packers. They just didn't know how to use him. That's their fault, but...
He's not my least favorite player in the NFL, but
That's
he's close.
He's the reason why Tim Tebow got a job, so yes, fuck you, Taysom Hill.
Yes.
I love that Tebow signing.
All right, let's go to the
Got
second
caught off
round.
again.
We're done with the first round. Let's go to the 2.01. And we are back on the clock with JLM. And who do you have for Jackson and Lee in the second round?
With JLM's first pick, I had them taking linebacker, and I actually have them going linebacker yet again. With Zaven Collins at the 2-1.
Okay.
I just think they need to. We talked about their linebacking situation with the first pick. I just think they have to try to bulk up with these rookies and get some of the best ones
I
available.
agree. I would like to thank you for cutting me off. Last pick, I was gonna start going on about my thoughts about Tim Tebow, but I appreciate you cutting
Well,
me
we
off.
need to keep this rolling here. So
I mean, it's really
Tim
not.
Tebow's conversation's for a different day.
yeah,
If there is another day.
we'll talk about his podcast another time.
I did not give JLM Zaven Collins here. I actually went with who I believe is the second best. It's a toss up with him and Jamin Davis, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and I think, him and Jamin Davis are interchangeable at number 2, but I just went with team need Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Okay. It's not a bad pick. They definitely, we're thinking the same. They definitely need a linebacker.
Absolutely.
So here's a couple of things with Zaven Collins. I've mentioned this before. Zaven Collins did not commit a single penalty across 3 seasons. That's 2,042 snaps without committing a single penalty.
For a coverage linebacker, that's insane.
Yeah, for a coverage linebacker, that's fantastic. Not only is he a coverage linebacker, but he's also a great pass rushing linebacker because he has the 3rd highest pass rush grade in this draft class. So, that's interesting. And Koramoah has the 2nd highest slot coverage grade in the FBS in 2020 as a linebacker per PFF. So, that's interesting as well. So
Let me just mention, though, as an Isaiah Simmons owner, I'm really upset about Zaven Collins' landing spot in Arizona. I really thought Isaiah Simmons was, the next guy up, and then...
I think he's still going to be. I think we're going to see them use both of them.
Their linebacking room is just crowded. They still have Jordan Hicks and...
I don't think Jordan Hicks has been given permission to seek a trade.
Okay.
And if he's not out of there by the beginning of the season, I don't expect him to be there by this time next year. So really, we're only looking at...
Do they still have Devondre Campbell?
No, I think Campbell's gone.
Okay.
I don't remember where he signed right now.
Correct
but
me, I was wrong.
Campbell's gone. And
Maybe there's still hope for me.
Even if Jordan Hicks is still there, I kind of almost expect it to still... At worst for a year they're splitting reps. At worst for a year,
Which is still
reps.
rough.
So, but it's only 1 year, and this is Dynasty. It's not redraft. So
yeah,
we're looking long term. So I think Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons being next to each other is going to be good for both of them, just like we saw with Quan and Levante David in Tampa Bay. We've seen who were those 2 linebackers that San Francisco had next to each other for years?
Willis and Bowman, Navarro Bowman.
Navarro Bowman. So look, we've seen it's possible, right? We could be seeing the same thing maybe in Kansas City soon with Willie Gay and Nick Bolton being there. Maybe we'll talk about one of those guys here in a little bit. So let's go to the 2.02. We're back to one of my picks here at the 2.02. Who do you have for me at the 2.02?
I think it's not really a secret. I think you do need a quarterback, and I don't think you should wait too long here. You have Dak Prescott and Ryan Tannehill, both great options.
Tannehill now, especially with Julio there, right?
Of course. As a Julio owner, I'm pretty excited about that. I think, you just have a lot of picks here. I think you start, really looking at the future of your team. I have you taking Trey Lance here at the 2-2.
Okay. What about you, Cadyn? What do you have for the 202?
For you, actually, I have Jamin Davis. As I said, he and Koramoah were kind of interchangeable at second best. Second and third doesn't really matter where. They're both good, is the bottom line. This actually starts, the pick before with Koramoah actually started a little bit of a trend here. I have 4 straight linebackers going off, so we're going to be talking about linebackers for a little bit.
once the run on linebacker starts, it really starts. So
Yeah, it does.
everybody starts panicking and freaking out, and you start seeing all those linebackers go. And a lot of my first 2 rounds have a lot of linebackers in it. So
Yeah, and if you're tuning into this mock draft because you're interested in IDP and you want to know about IDP, but for linebackers, most interceptions in 2020 among this linebacker draft class, Zaven Collins was number 2 with 4 interceptions. Jamin Davis was 5th with 3 interceptions. So
they're just always around the ball, and that's what you really want in a linebacker.
And Davis has that sideline to sideline speed like Koromoa. He's all over the place. That guy's speed is incredible.
I just won't forget that play that Zaven Collins made this year. They went into overtime. Tulsa was
the
ranked, and he walked it off with a pick 6. And for his size, he is very, very fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think he's one of the best.
The guy's got Anthony Barr, just height and weight. So
he's actually comped basically straight up the same size and weight as Brian Urlacher.
And I would love to draft a Brian Urlacher type.
Yeah,
as a dynasty linebacker. Mm-hmm. So that's fantastic.
Right. Okay, we have the 2.03. We're back to Iowa Patriots, Dustin Duert. And who do you have for Dustin at the 1.03?
I have Rashad Bateman. Okay. Rashad Bateman falling all the way down to the 2.3. And I mean, Dustin's looking at that, and he's liking that. I just think he falls because of the depth and other team needs. But I don't think he passes up a Rashad Bateman here.
Yeah, I think this is a more realistic draft range, I think, for Rashad Bateman is like 2.3 to maybe 2.06.
It just would have been a lot higher if it wasn't for the Baltimore landing spot.
In that range, I know his ADP is still the 1.08, but then when you start throwing IDP in there, he's going to start dropping a little bit. And, you know, we've talked about his landing spot. It is what it is at this point. Who do you have for Dustin at the 2.03?
As I said before, I'm kind of going on a little linebacker spiel here. So I do have Zaven Collins going off at 2.03 to Iowa Patriots.
Okay. Since we've already spent some time talking about those guys, let's jump right into the 2.04. I think this starts my 4-player run in the second round. I've got 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, and 2.7.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about those 4 picks kind of collectively. How about you give me your 4 in a row, then you give me your 4 in a row.
Okay, yeah, I like that idea. I'm at the 2.4. I have you taking Koromoa here.
Okay.
I just think, like Cadyn said, like all these linebackers are kind of interchangeable at where they go. But I do think you take one here. At the 2.5, you going back to get some wide receiver help, Elijah Moore here from the Jets. At 2.6, I have you taking another quarterback, Justin Fields. I don't know if he really starts in year 1, even though he should. But quarterbacks in this league need to be valued more than they are. Mm-hmm. And you can never really have too many quarterbacks, really, no matter what happens.
Right.
And I think grabbing 2 of the top rookies in this draft would be good with how many picks he has. And then for his final pick of the 4 at the 2.7, Terrence Marshall, wide receiver from Carolina.
Okay.
I just think, you fill some team needs kind of all over your roster with those 4 picks there.
What about you, Cadyn?
I have my 4th straight linebacker going off the board at 2.4 with Nick Bolton. He's about the last major linebacker in the draft class. Nobody really after him. My number 5, I have you taking Rondale Moore. I know. For the past couple months, we both, you and myself, have been major Rondale Moore fans. So I do have you taking him here. It's a little bit of a biased pick, but that's okay. I make them all the time. At 2.06, I have you taking Zach Wilson. I already had Trevor Lawrence going off to Iowa Patriots. I just gave you the second best option here with Zach Wilson. It's no secret that you need quarterbacks.
Right.
So I do have you taking Zach Wilson.
You
here.
like Zach Wilson more than Trey Lance and Justin Fields?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, the Jets do too. So
Yeah.
Trey Lance is actually my least favorite of the first five, like the 5 first-round pick quarterbacks. I do think I do like Justin Fields. Right.
I just made a face at the camera. They're probably thinking, "What the hell?" But
yeah, we have
it was a hard foul in the playoff game.
We have a basketball game on in the background. Trey Lance is actually my least favorite. I hope he proves me wrong. And at 2-7 here with the last pick for the Crows, I do have him taking Elijah Moore.
Okay. Just so, I just have a couple of quick notes on Justin Fields. He has the number 1 highest accurate pass percentage last season in this draft class, even above Trevor Lawrence with a 72.4% accuracy. Number 2 highest completion percentage on deep passes, which is 20-plus air yards in FBS quarterbacks in 2020 with 59.4%, behind only Zach Wilson at 62.5%.
I'm sorry. I think Justin Fields is just getting really shit on, honestly.
Let's not forget, he was, at one point in the season, there were Heisman talks. Some were saying he was better than Trevor Lawrence.
He beat Trevor Lawrence in a... I know it's not one versus one, but his Buckeyes beat the Tigers. And a lot of people even have Fields ranked above Lawrence. And I just think that Justin Fields is getting disrespected.
He had a great pro day. They didn't really have a combine. He had a great pro day. There's absolutely no reason for him falling the way he did in the last couple of months. He had a spectacular season.
And nothing's changed about him.
Yeah, nothing's changed. Nothing's come out against him. He's the same guy. I just think he's being heavily disrespected.
Here's a couple of interesting things about Rondale Moore. Second highest graded slot wide receiver in this class over his career with an 88.6, which is behind only Jalen Waddle. He has an 18.2 breakout age, which is in the 99th percentile. I mean, he broke out at Purdue
as a freshman
at 18 years old.
That's insane.
He also has a college dominator score of 36.7, which is in the 72nd percentile. And the guy is just an athletic.
And he was like one of the only shining spots on that Purdue Boilermaker team. Like that team was not very good, but Rondale Moore just looked really good and played really good. And
the only downside to Rondale Moore is we really haven't seen him on the field in almost 3 seasons because he didn't play in 2019 and because of the injury, and then he opted out in 2020. So it's been 3 years since we've seen Rondale Moore on the field. That's pretty much the only downside to Moore at this point.
But
he landed in a fantastic.
He's 5'7".
He is.
Not too many guys get it done at that height.
5'7", 181.
Yeah.
And that's not a great size for a wide receiver.
If anyone knows how to use him, though, it's going to be Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah,
he couldn't have gone to a better
passing offense.
He couldn't have gone to a better offensive system for his rookie year.
Right.
Especially because the pressure won't be on him. Like they have premier wideouts.
Yeah,
say what you want about AJ Green, but they have DeAndre Hopkins there. It's going to take a lot of pressure off of him.
All right, so at the 2.08, we have Das Raiderhawk. Then we have Sandusky Victims at 2.9. Back to Das Raiderhawk at 2.10. Back to Sandusky Victims at 2.11. Why don't you give me your thoughts on those 4 picks, and you give me your thoughts on those 4 picks.
So you want me to go
Justin Brandon.
Okay. So at the 2.8, I have Das Raiderhawk taking Nick Bolton.
Okay.
Like Cadyn said, these linebackers interchangeable again. The top 5 linebacker sort of thing. Das Raiderhawk really needs some linebacker help. I think Nick Bolton's probably the last best one standing at that point for him. At the 2.9, I have Brandon taking Rondale Moore here.
Okay.
I had him going receiver earlier with Waddle, I believe, but I just think it helps him get younger at wide receiver. The 210, I had Justin going linebacker again, and this is probably where I'm going to disagree, but I have him taking Pete Warner.
Okay.
He was highly drafted. He's got the draft capital. I don't think Demario Davis is going to be there much longer. And I just think, he's going to just fill right into that middle linebacker role for the Saints. At 11, I have Brandon taking Chuba Hubbard.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon is the CMC owner.
Right.
I think he gets Chuba Hubbard at a really good price here, just in case anything happens to McCaffrey again. So, those are my 4.
And let's not forget, Chuba Hubbard has a 2,000-yard season under his belt. He just didn't.
He came out.
Didn't look good the following year.
He should have came out after his season where he did that. He stayed at Oklahoma State for another year,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't turn out well for his draft stock. But I don't think that discredits him for the type of player that he is.
Right. What do you have? Let's do those 4 picks for you.
With my 4 picks, I have, starting off with them, I have Justin taking Terrace Marshall.
Okay.
Is it Terrace or Terrence?
It's Terrace.
It's Terrace. That's what I thought. Yeah,
I
Terrace
probably said
Marshall.
Terrence, I don't know.
Terrace Marshall. He really should not be being taken in the late second round. I mean, he's been teammates with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson at once. I mean, they really, really overshined Terrace Marshall.
He has a ADP of 110.
Terrace Marshall is a great player. He had all the spotlight taken away from him with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson being there. So
And he's being reunited with Joe Brady
Mhm.
and Carolina.
Just with this deep of a draft class, you're going to see people like that fall every year.
Yeah.
Like Brandon got Ayuk last year at a ridiculous price.
Yeah,
Like closer to the 3rd round for
Third.
Ayuk.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And it was insane.
Right.
with my 209, I guess, I have Brandon taking Chuba Hubbard.
Okay.
I just have him taking 2 spots earlier than Taylor. He is a CMC owner. The only person who should be taking Chuba Hubbard is a CMC owner in every league, so that's where I have Chuba Hubbard going. At 210, with Justin, I have him taking Kadarius Toney. I mean, Kadarius Toney should not have been taken as high as he did in the real NFL draft, but he was taken there for a reason. The Giants obviously have a plan for him. They really like the guy, and I don't know how you don't have a first-round wide receiver not be taken in the first 2 rounds of an IDP league. So I have Kadarius Toney going here to Justin, who still desperately needs help at wide receiver. And for my 211, I have Brandon taking Pat Freiermuth. He is probably as a second worst tight end core in the league, probably behind me. Pat Freiermuth, who's known as Baby Gronk. He even wears 87. He's got size with Gronk. He's got the speed of Gronk. I think he's the second best tight end, and I'm going to Brandon.
I had Brandon also, penciled in for a linebacker because his linebacker situation is the worst in the league, in my opinion.
Well, not as bad as JLM right now. Jalen probably needs linebackers more. But it's interesting that you brought up Freiermuth because I haven't seen his name called a lot in these 2-round mock drafts that we've done. I think any other draft class where you don't have a Kyle Pitts, Freiermuth is the tight end 1 in that draft class. And coming into this is interesting. Pat Freiermuth has the number 1 highest career grade in the red zone for 2021 draft eligible wide receivers with 92.5. Kyle Pitts is 4th on that list with an 80.1. So, he in the red zone, Pat Freiermuth is money. Let's talk about let's finish out this second round here with Brian Dalton at the 212.
One more thing with Freiermuth, I
Yes.
didn't like his landing spot. I have Ebron, so I was a little salty about that
Yeah,
landing spot.
same.
I think they have Ben for maybe one more good season, if we even want to call it a good season.
And they're loaded at wide receiver.
I just think, with Najee being in Pittsburgh, he's going to get a lot of red zone looks.
And
They like to use Claypool in the red zone.
Juju.
They still have Juju, Deontay Johnson. They still have Ebron.
Right.
There's too much going on there.
For now, there is. But maybe after a season, I think Ebron's going to be fine, but maybe he moves on. Maybe he goes to another tight end needy team.
And Juju is only back on a 1-year deal.
And then Ebron eats wherever he goes. Freiermuth eats in Pittsburgh. Juju's gone after a year.
Claypool's usage in the red zone was just very eye-opening last year.
So
They were just trying to get him the ball every play in the red zone.
it is a little concerning that Ben's on his last year, but I mean, think about it like this: if they can run some 2 tight end sets, Ben's arm isn't there anymore, so he's going to be looking to check down a lot to either Najee or the tight end.
Yeah, Andy just had elbow surgery, so
And
that might be concerning by itself.
if he, that was before last season. That wasn't this past off season.
Yeah, it was.
He's better now.
Oh,
so
okay.
But yeah, I mean, he might be looking to check down more because his arm's just not what it used to be. But then at the same token, let's say next year they bring in a young quarterback. Tight ends are a young quarterback's best friend. So, if Ebron moves on, maybe Freiermuth is a good security blanket for a young quarterback moving forward. But yeah, let's jump into the 212 with Brian Dalton, kicker liker, to finish out the second round.
Really does love his kickers. Earlier you had mentioned us to take a look at his quarterback room.
Mm-hmm.
With this pick, I did that,
Okay.
and I have Zach Wilson
Okay.
going here at the final pick of the second round.
That's why I said, let's not spoil it too early when you had brought that up earlier. That's because I have kicker liker taking Trey Lance here. Initially, when I did first make this mock draft, I did have him taking Zach Wilson, and I did have Zach Wilson going a little bit earlier, but I did take a second look at it, realized the Crows needed a quarterback. They have 1,000 picks in the first 3 rounds, so I just, I took Kenneth Gainwell out. I had you taking him initially. I took him out. Don't think he's a top 2 round running back.
Not anymore. I mean, that was really disappointing. If we're looking at Kenny Gainwell with a day 1 or day 2 draft capital, we're talking about somebody who could potentially be one of the greats. 2,000 yard from scrimmage season back in 2019 before opting out in 2020 because of all the COVID concerns that his family went through. But yeah, I mean, Gainwell, I don't get the Gainwell draft capital of him going in the 5th round.
The landing spot was just
going to
atrocious.
Philly, just
Such a crowded running back room. Like,
yeah.
could he ever get separation?
Yeah. So maybe he beats out a Boston Scott. Maybe he doesn't, because I think Boston Scott's just so efficient.
In the passing game.
But maybe he beats out a Boston Scott, or maybe in a year Boston Scott's gone, and then that job's Kenny Gainwell's.
I hope not, because I have Boston Scott and Miles Sanders, both.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I would have liked to have seen Kenny Gainwell with some better draft capital than what he got. He kind of checks all the rest of the boxes, but
I think this was one of the worst drafts as far as landing spots go.
For fantasy,
For Dynasty.
Football,
For Dynasty,
football.
It was one of the worst drafts.
For real life, it's kind of interesting. For fantasy football, it sucked.
Yeah. We hoped a lot better for the players that we were wanting to draft.
Before we get out of this draft here, before we get out of this mock draft, is there any other comments or questions that you want to make, Taylor?
I didn't have a pick in one of these first 2 rounds, but I'm an active trader. I'm still trying to make some off-season moves, so
So
maybe
he's talking to you, other 11 owners in this league.
and that counts for you too. Also, I mean, I'm not you. I know you're not going to give up any of the picks you traded your own team for, but
Right.
and he's only got the one, so actually not you two. But
Yeah.
I'm always trying to make moves. I really do like this draft class, so it's just a shame that I don't have any picks. But I mean, that's what I get for trying to win championships every year. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really it.
Understandable. Do you have any other comments you want to make, Cadyn?
Nothing that can't wait until our mega mock draft, I
Okay.
guess.
Which I think we're going to be jumping into here
Right after
momentarily.
this.
But we're gonna finish up this Xtreme mock draft here. I don't really have anything else to comment, so thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you all next time.